lot of thinking and speculation that this is actually what Google is working on. But judging by Google Buzz and Google Wave, not quite sure they have a good head start. But I'd like to introduce you to a deeper level. It's almost like Inception. We're going to keep going a few different levels here. We are now at the end of the 15 minutes of fame. It's yours to define now. Why? Because fame itself, celebrity itself, has been redefined. So to be internet famous isn't as hokey as it used to sound, right? Some of our friends who have made a better living at this than I have are now really famous based on what they've done on the web. And they've defined it for themselves. And consumers are starting to figure this out. And I'm not saying that everybody's trying to become famous. I'm just saying, think about this. People are not connecting online like they used to, right? If you were on Instant Messenger back in the day, or still today, you probably weren't willfully putting out your first name and your last name as your handle, as your username. You were probably like Wonder Woman 59 or Dark Knight 267. Those are mine, by the way. But now here you are, front and center in the social web, and you want everybody to know it's you. And that's what's happening to consumers in general. They're realizing that there is this reward for engagement on their own. This starts to change, starts to take a whole new meaning. And I can tell you that this isn't just about an event image. I don't know if you guys can see it, but basically everybody has a notebook open on their laps. But this is what you're marketing to now. You are marketing to an audience with an audience with an audience. It's infinite. Meaning that people are starting to realize that they are connecting with individuals, not just who they know, but also who they want to know. Why? Because those people that they want to know represent something that they respect, something they trust, something they adore, something they can empathize with. And that's powerful. It's changing not just how we social network, but how we learn, how we share, how we discover. And this is why, as a marketer, you have to figure out now how to connect with someone who is so busy curating their own networking experience, not just for themselves, but for now this sense of responsibility for the people who are following them. How do you connect with that, right? Because I think we falsely assumed, whether this was true over the years or not, that you could come out with some very creative billboards, some very creative advertisements, some very creative public relations strategies, and you think that people are just waiting to hear from you, right? But in social networking, you can actually see they're not waiting for you. They're pretty busy on their own. I'll show you a screen that I think you'll appreciate in a second. But really, this is what we're competing for now, right? Attention. How is it that you learn about news, right? The Twitter News Network. You don't have to tune into your local broadcast at 8 o'clock and 10 p.m. Because chances are you already know news as it happened, just like the rest of the world. And when you want to find out about what's an amazing deal, well, you might call a friend, or you might go on Groupon, or you might subscribe to @EarlyBird on Twitter. Everything's changing, and so therefore we're competing for attention. But guess where we're having this battle? Right here. How many of you are on TweetDeck or Seismic? Something.
It's sweet.
It's the slot machine of your attention. Because depending on how many people you're following, and don't know, it's not going to come up all sevens. I've tried. But what happens is that you learn, right? It's almost like this curated form of social recommendation. So no, it's not almost. That's what it is. So when a story appears in your stream, chances are you might click it. And if it appears multiple times, you're definitely going to click it because you have to see what's going on. You don't want to miss out. So as a brand, as an organization, as an individual, this is how you compete for attention. This is where you compete for attention. So knowing what it is that an individual sees on a daily basis, because you are that individual, how are you going to change your strategy? Are you going to put an ad right here and hope that I click on it? Are you going to run a promoted tweet? Are you going to create a custom landing tab and watch how your world changes for the better? Or will you go on a horse? This is getting there, right? I mean, we could see how by creating a few customized videos for people on the social web, that tweets went from 1,600 to 61,000 the next day to 96,000 the next day, down to 16,000. We're going to talk a little bit about this in a minute. But they started to show what's possible, right? They kind of said, oh, but that's expensive. Engagement, talking to people every day, we can't afford that. We'll just turn it off. So again, remember, up, down. So we do that really well with marketing. We kind of look at it as a campaign. All right, what budget do we have left over from last quarter? Not much. Okay, we got to wait. We'll start next quarter. And we come up with these great ideas and we run them every quarter or however your cycles work. What in fact what social media requires is you can still do your cool, killer, creative, and engagement and public relations campaigns, but what are you going to do in the meantime? I worked on this really interesting campaign recently, and I was at this dinner party, and somebody came up to me and they said, oh man, you know, like there was this really cool campaign by so-and-so, and I really loved it, and I said, oh, that was me. I totally worked on that campaign. And then he got all serious for a second. He goes, dude, you left me hanging. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I liked your page, I got all into it, I subscribed to the contest, you know. I didn't win, but I only assumed I didn't win because I never heard from you, but I got so into like the whole communication, the creative, that I just wanted it to keep going, but you kind of stopped talking to me. It's like, yeah, we did. We did. And, I actually even tried to keep going on my own dime for free just to keep people talking. But it's just the way it's funded, right? How businesses attack social is just how it attacks everything else. And there isn't necessarily a dedicated budget for social yet, right? We're kind of borrowing from other places, we're experimenting. But the point is, we know it works. We just have to go out and get those answers to force pilot programs, because otherwise, like Old Spice, just spikes and valleys.